For more than 2 decades, relations between the United States and Venezuela have been marked by deep hostility, mistrust, and confrontation. Successive U.S. administrations accused the government of Nicolas Maduro of corruption, drug trafficking, election manipulation, and widespread human rights abuses. In response, Washington imposed sweeping sanctions and severed diplomatic ties, while Caracas framed the United States as an imperial aggressor bent on overthrowing its leadership. Until now, the conflict largely played out through economic pressure, diplomacy, and proxy political struggles. That long-standing standoff appears to have entered an entirely new phase. According to statements from U.S. officials and reporting by major international media outlets, the United States has carried out a military operation inside Venezuela that resulted in the capture of President Nicolas Maduro. Reports describe explosions and power outages in parts of Caracas, suggesting coordinated strikes. U.S. President Donald Trump announced that Maduro and his wife were detained by American forces and flown out of the country, though independent confirmation from Venezuelan authorities remains limited as of now. U.S. officials say the operation was conducted under existing criminal indictments against Maduro in U.S. courts, including charges related to narcotics trafficking and organized crime. They claim elite U.S. forces were involved and that the action was framed not as a war with Venezuela, but as the enforcement of long-standing legal cases. Meanwhile, Venezuela's government has disputed the narrative and demanded proof of Maduro's status, adding to the uncertainty surrounding the situation. If fully confirmed, this would represent one of the most dramatic actions taken by the United States against a sitting foreign head of state in modern history. Unlike sanctions or diplomatic isolation, the capture of a president directly reshapes a nation's political reality. It raises profound questions about sovereignty, international law, and whether similar actions could be justified elsewhere against leaders accused of transnational crimes. President Trump further escalated the significance of the announcement by stating that the United States would temporarily oversee Venezuela's governance until what he described as a safe, proper, and judicious transition can be arranged. He said U.S. forces would remain on the ground for as long as necessary to stabilize the situation, secure key infrastructure, and prevent chaos or reprisals. While details of this transitional authority have not been fully outlined, the statement suggests a direct and unprecedented U.S. role in Venezuela's internal affairs, raising immediate questions about legitimacy, duration, and international response. What happens next remains unclear. U.S. officials have suggested Maduro could be brought before American courts, while also hinting at a temporary transition period for Venezuela. Inside the country, the sudden removal of leadership could spark power struggles, military defections, or mass protests. International reactions have been sharply divided, with some governments condemning the action as illegal intervention and others viewing it as accountability long delayed. Looking ahead, U.S. Venezuela relations are unlikely to return to their previous state. If a managed political transition follows, relations could shift toward conditional engagement and reconstruction. If instability deepens, the region could face prolonged turmoil. Either way, the capture of Nicolas Maduro may mark the end of an era, and the beginning of a far more uncertain chapter for Venezuela and the wider hemisphere.